Red states take the majority of all of these federal benefits that Dump Pants just cut. Federal funding to Medicaid, school breakfast and lunches, Section 8 rental assistance, Title I education grants, the temporary assistance for needy families, which is basically welfare. It's the cash you get. And your food stamps. How you going to get your food? Grants for childcare, Head Start, and the program for women's, infants, and children, which is better known by WIC. So that's mamas who get formula for their babies.
Well, here's some instant karma. The Republican governor of Georgia who said that he was supporting Donald Trump in the 2024 election for business reasons. He thinks Trump would be good for business. Of course, I'm talking about Brian Kemp. Well, he just got handed some instant karma when the Trump administration denied necessary FEMA aid to Georgia that former President Biden was providing to the state of Georgia. Let me just show you the letter that Brian Kemp received from Donald Trump's FEMA as Trump's trying to gut FEMA. This is in response to your January 24th, 2025 request for an extension to the cost share waiver under major disaster FEMA-4830-DR that was declared on September 30th, 2024 due to Hurricane Helene. So it's an extension of what Biden agreed to immediately. You specifically requested an extension of the 100% federal cost share for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance to 180 days. And you reiterated your request for an increase in the federal cost share for permanent work to 90%. Based on our review of all of the information available, it has been determined that the increased level of funding you have requested for major disaster FEMA-4830-DR is not warranted. Therefore, I must inform you that your request for an extension of the period of 100% federal funding for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance to 180 days, is denied. Governor Kemp was requesting an extension of what Biden provided for debris removal.
The president just called me yesterday afternoon. I missed him and I called him right back. And he just said, hey, what do you need? And I told him, we got what we need. We'll work through the federal process. He offered that if there's other things we need, just to call him directly.
And Donald Trump said, here's my middle finger, go F yourself.
65% of the state of Alabama voted for Donald Trump. Alabama is in the top 10 poorest states in the United States related to federal poverty level. While many of these voters sit behind their computers and celebrate Elon Musk cutting waste, little did they know it was going to impact them. This week, over 250 residents in Huntsville, Alabama received a notice from their electric company that they were going to have to pay an additional $100 surcharge. The explanation for this was that Donald Trump's recent executive order ended a $1 million grant to the utilities company to help these customers pay for their electric bill. Leaders in Alabama are furious because they said this is counterintuitive to Donald Trump's promise to lower energy costs.
Which is a real kick in the shorts.
Aaron Pape is a farmer from Peshtigo in northeastern Wisconsin. He recently got a disturbing message from the federal government.
They replied back that they owed me about $30,000, but then there was some very disconcerting language. We're unable to pay on this contract at this time and don't know when funds will be made available because it was contracted as part of the Inflation Reduction Act. Any further practice implementation is at my own discretion.
The message came from the Natural Resources Conservation Service about the reimbursement contract they have with the Pape family farm.
$30,000 might not be a lot of money to some people, but it's a lot to me. It's a lot to my business, and I need that money to operate. I was counting on that money to be able to operate my farm this year. If I don't get paid that $30,000, I gotta go borrow that money.
The reimbursement contract was going to help the Papes pay for seed, a watering system, and fence. Pape says the freeze is adding more economic uncertainty for farmers also being hit with the end of USAID, which will cost farmers hundreds of millions of dollars in income. Plus, farmers could bear the brunt of retaliation from tariffs affecting fertilizer pricing and availability right away, all rippling through the rest of the rural economy.
The federal government is just being hit with a sledgehammer right now, and programs are just being smashed and departments being closed, at the drop of a hat. It's way too chaotic. It's making it very difficult to react to.
All the Trump supporter parents in Texas are crying literally on the internet because he's closing the schools. Oh, it's almost like he said he would do that. Crazy, right? Why are you mad that your kids are going to be dumber than you? That's what you literally voted for. You literally voted for your kids to grow up to be fucking imbeciles, and now y'all are mad that you gotta homeschool them. Like, I feel like Trump supporters voted for Trump in hopes that he would not keep his promises, but he's doing even worse than that. He refuses to keep the good promises that he made and is only sticking to the bad ones. Now your kids can't fucking read and you're upset?
And an analysis found the 15 states that most rely on federal funding for its public schools in 2022 all voted for Trump.
And I voted for President Trump.
I mean, you're an educator. You
Yes.
didn't vote for Trump eliminating federal funds.
No, I did not vote for that. I voted for President Trump to make America first again. If we have federal cuts, then that's going to mean bigger classroom sizes. I would lose teachers, first and foremost. It's devastating.
I don't think that anyone in our county wants to cut our school funding. I don't think that anyone voted for that.
Do you mind if I ask who you voted for in the election?
I voted for Donald Trump.
At what point in life are we just gonna start calling Trump supporters idiots? Like fucking dummies. That's what they are. They're imbeciles. They have an IQ of 2.
Hey, to all you people out there who supported Trump, you're affected by the cuts directly or indirectly. If you support this man and you are suffering from this, I hope that it's long and tedious and so painful.
Kamala Harris is looking real good now, huh? I said Kamala Harris is looking real good now, huh? All you motherfuckers who voted for this man. We sat here, we told you, we warned you, we even put it in your face and tried to fucking remind you.
Y'all wanted to play the fuck around game so goddamn badly. Well, you are fixing to find out very bigly.
Hey, Shalom Akim. I want to start by giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Mosul for teaching truth and for ruling well. And peace salutation to all you Akim out there pushing and defending His gospel throughout the four corners of the earth, as well as to the believers in Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, the men as well as the women, the hopeful elect. Like this is the brother Kahanallah from the GMS Hawaii. And I wanted to do a lesson, or wouldn't it be edifying, inspired by this video, which I stole off the elder in Tampa, which he titled "Go Trump, Edomites are finished," and not just Edomites, but all of the inhabitants of Babylon the Great, man. You see, we've been warning through the Spirit, chiefly warning our people, that these days were coming. The days where Esau was going to show his horns, where he was going to show even the lower of his people that he's not for the masses of the people. He's not for the benefit of the entirety of Babylon, of America. Therefore, the super elite, man, and they're using Babylon the Great for a greater purpose, man, which in their plans is to be the machine of war, pretty much, right? They're using your taxpayer dollars for things that pretty much don't benefit Americans at all. Things that are ultimately to push forth their NWO, which ultimately is to to bring forth war, as the scriptures speak about World War III, and ultimately bring forth that sea hit, man. Because unlike popular belief, these countries, they're not separate. They're not all trying to do their own thing. Esau, through the banking system, through corporations, has control of policies. They have control over these government leaders, and it's all a ruse to have you people all confused, thinking that your vote matters, that you have an opinion, or you have a say in what's gonna be of the world to come, which is not, man. These devils have a plan, and they're executing it, and the result is what? The suffering of the people. As we're about to read in the scriptures, in the book of Joel 3. We could read this scripture real quick, and then we'll jump into this other article I have. But this is Joel 3 and verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war and wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So we see how, Esau is cutting programs, which are for what? For the sustainability of his citizens. You see, Trump is cutting all sorts of financial aid to schools, to farmers, to electrical companies. But what are they trying to put their money for? They're trying to put their money in weaponry, right? They're trying to put their money in companies that pretty much fuel war. So this is from what's the name of this website? ArmyRecognition.com, and it says it's U.S. to double B-2 stealth bombers fleet with 28 new aircraft after Iran strikes. And this is from October 17, 2025, and it says, I'll read some of this. I'm not going to read the whole article, but just so that you could, understand where the minds of these so-called leaders of Babylon the Great is at. Trump being the head puppet up there. But it says, on October 13th, 2025, during a speech at the Israeli Knesset, President Donald Trump announced plans to add 28 updated B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, citing their performance in recent operations against Iran. On October 13, 2025, President Donald Trump told Israeli lawmakers that the United States plans to double its B-2 Spirit stealth bomber fleet by adding 28 new aircraft. He said the decision followed the long-range operation against Iranian nuclear sites in June, which he described as proof of the bomber's endurance and reach. The Pentagon has not verified the existence of a new production program. An analysis believe the number may represent life extension or digital upgraded work already underway. So again, going back to Joel 3 and 10, it says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And what are plowshares and pruning hooks used for? These are tools for agriculture, for, as I mentioned before, things that are for the sustainability of life, pretty much. You need these tools to gather the food, to harvest your crops. And spiritually, if you see it, this is likened unto these social programs we see. Let's see real quick. Let's open up a new tab and see how much funding Trump has cut in the past couple of months, since he's been in office. How much funding? Well, So let's see. As President Donald Trump can only propose budget cuts, or Congress must pass any legislation that changes funding for social programs during both his first term and the current second term administration. His budgets have included proposed reductions in social programs, though the final amounts cut often differ based on congressional actions. And like, I mentioned before, presidents are just puppet leaders. They got to go through through Congress, and Congress is influenced by corporations, by, pretty much money. But it says, first term. Now let's go to the second term. So second term, following his return to office in 2025, Trump has again proposed cuts to numerous social programs. Some of these are being enacted or challenged during government shutdown. Medicaid legislation signed in July 2025 included almost $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts over 10 years and could result in 11.8 million people losing health insurance. So again, this is something that's affecting the welfare of the people, man. The sustainability. We know Babylon the Great has the biggest or the most people or most of the people. Salaka, let me phrase that in a better way. Most of the people here in Babylon the Great are, on meds. They have some sort of treatment going on to pretty much to stay alive, man. So that's gonna affect them. It says supplemental security income, or SSI. The administration has put forward a new rule that would reduce or eliminate benefits for hundreds of thousands of low-income people with disabilities and seniors. And this is, something for people with disabilities. You have people that are born with autism or mental retardation that get these type of aids. And we actually had a friend, that told us that has a family member with a disability that they received these supplemental security incomes, and that now is being affected because of Nero. Another one, it says women, infant, and children, which is WIC. It says the 2026 budget proposal includes a $291 million cut to the WIC program and would significantly reduce monthly benefits for participants. So all you single mothers, you women that are, living off of these programs, you have a bunch of different kids by different men, and you living off a WIC, guess what? Your benefits is going to be cut off. Public health. The budget proposal includes billions in cuts to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, with one source indicating a possible 50% cut to the agency spending, which, in my opinion, they just throw this out there so that, to kind of offset the opinion or the backslash of the people. Like, if they don't make a cut in these type of industries, the people will really go crazy, man. Because if you're not helping Medicaid, you're not helping the SSI, the WIC, but you still gonna fund the CDC fully, then it's gonna be a serious problem. So I through the spirit don't believe that they cutting nothing in the CDC, because ESO just be lying. it says special education. During the October 2025 government shutdown, the administration implemented layoffs in the Department of Education, including the office overseeing $15 billion in special education funding. You see, so they trying to cut a lot of social programs and programs that benefit the people, man, the citizens of this place. But what are they trying to spend money on? You know, they're trying to spend money on war. You see, they're still donating. You see, let's this is why we use the Google, man. What are Donald Trump's new and largest second term? Let's see. It says during the second term, which began in January 2025, Donald Trump's largest budget increases have been directly towards defense and border security, primarily funded through a major spending and tax law signed in July 2025. These increases are paired with significant cuts to social programs and tax cuts that largely benefit higher earners, right? You see, so let's read some of these. And again, this is going tying directly with Joel 3 and 10, you know? So if you're cutting social programs, you're cutting, the things that are, helping the citizens of your nation stay alive. And, there's people that really do need it, but majority of, these people in America, man, they just using these social programs to live life in pleasure, man. You got Jake, they receiving all this WIC and stamps and Section 8 and everything, and then they just, they refuse to work. They refuse to actually make a life for themselves, and they just depend on ESO. So good for them, but there's other people that that really need it, man. And, everybody's going to suffer the burden for it. But let's read some of these budget increases. It says Department of Defense, $113.3 billion. This is the largest single increase by dollar amount in the fiscal year 2026 budget proposal. The additional funding is targeted towards developing a Golden Dome for America missile defense shield, building military ships and fighter jets, which, we just got an article on, advancing space defense and nuclear deterrence, providing a 3.8% pay increase for service members, which I hardly doubt that they're going to do. Maybe for the generals and the people on top. But you see, this is what ESO preparing for war, man. This is why we read again, proclaim this among the Gentiles, prepare for war. Wake up the mighty, man. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua. You see, and this is what we're heading towards. Again, it's a process. People think that, World War III is just going to start from one day to another. No, it's a process to get to physical war. And we're seeing that process happening, man. We've seen the nations preparing militarily. They're cutting budgets on things that they deem not necessary, like, these social programs. And they're using it to turn that money over to military purposes. we see friction amongst these nations, and not just any nations, but prophetic nations, man. We see friction with Iran and the state of Israel. We see friction with Ukraine and Russia, which Russia is a huge protagonist in that third world war, man. The war of Armageddon. The same thing with the state of Israel and Iran. You know, these are not just coincidences, man. This is ultimately prophecy, you know, or playing out right in front of us. But majority of our people are ignoring this, man. You're not listening to the word of Yahweh Shema Washai. You see? So let's keep on reading. Department of Homeland Security, $42.3 billion. This increase represents the largest percentage increase, growing 64.9% under the FY or fiscal year 2026 budget proposal. These funds are explicitly allocated for implementing a mass removal campaign, which is part of Jacob's Trouble. You know, this is for immigrants, you know, so-called criminals and all that. This is what we're going through right now. You see, bolstering border security initiatives. The One Big Beautiful Act includes approximately $170 million for border security and deportation efforts, including $46.5 billion for border wall construction. So this is where, you know, the money is being allocated, man, for ultimately purposes of war and so-called defense. You know, they also mentioned the Golden Dome for America, which is kind of what the same thing that Israel has going on out there in the state of Israel, the Iron Dome, which is to protect from these missiles, man. Let's read this in the NLT, and then we'll grab some scriptures in the Apocrypha real quick. This is Joel 3 and verse 9 in the NLT. It says, "Say to the nations far and wide, get ready for war. Call out your best warriors. Let all your fighting men advance for the attack. Hammer your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Train even your weaklings to be warriors. Come quickly, all you nations everywhere. Gather together in the valley. And now, O Yahweh, call out your warriors." That's right. And this is, again, what we're preparing for. You see, Salaki, bear with me. This is in the book of Jeremiah 30. I'll start at 5. It says, "For thus saith the Lord, ye have heard a voice of trembling, of fear and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness." And this is the times that we're coming into, man. Again, you see Esau preparing for war. He's, you know, budgeting for civil unrest. You know, we mentioned, you know, some of these budget cuts, or budget increases are for what? Mass removal campaigns. Right here they mentioned border security and deportation efforts. And this is all against who? Against the tribes, man. You know, you've seen a lot of Northern Kingdom being persecuted, and even the Southern Kingdom, man. Benjamin, Levi. And even if you're not, a so-called illegal immigrant, you know, if you're Jake, you know, they're giving you problems, man. Whether you look like a so-called Negro or Latino or Native Americans, man, those are the people that Esau's coming for. They don't even need an excuse, you know. So it's gonna come a time where it's gonna be worse, you know. Let's verse 7. It says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." And Salakia. As the apostles, as the bishop elders, and all of us brothers on down have been mentioning, man, we've been warning about this time for years already. It's just that people never thought it would happen. But again, just because it doesn't happen immediately doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, man. It's written in the scriptures. The scriptures say, "Wait for it shall surely come." So all these prophecies of the end time, they're for a specific time. And Yahweh Shai is showing us the times through what? Through these prophecies coming to pass. And we're seeing them unfold little by little. And it's going to come to the point where all hell is going to break loose out here, man. This is why, verse 6, it says that if men, give birth to babies. Why? Because that pain of child labor, or of giving birth to women is is painful, man. So it's gonna come to a point where men are gonna be travailing like women during labor, man. It's gonna be a bad time, especially for our people. Let's read this. Well, this is from the Homeland Security Twitter page, and this is a post that they put up. And who do they have here in the post? It says, "If you threaten to lay hands on our law enforcement officers, we will hunt you down. We will hunt you down, and you will find out really quick. We'll see you cowards soon." And you have this video. As long as the hoe outside with the sushi and never see home. It says, "ICE, we're on the way. Word in the streets. Cartels put a 50K bounty on you." Right? And these dudes are doing it for, for clout or whatever it is. But, just to show you that Esau is ready, man. Esau is ready to come down upon you. You don't see nowhere in here posts of Edomite militias talking about if the government is trying to take our freedom away, and intrude in our liberties, then we're gonna retaliate. You don't see no posts about that shit here, because these Edomite militias, man, they ready. They actually training every day on how to pretty much confront the establishment. But you don't see Esau posting about them, because in reality they want to take you Jakes out. So even a slight sign of rebellion or opposition from Jake, even if it's for clout chasing, man, in Esau's eyes is like, yep, we got what we wanted. We got the excuse to fall upon these people, man. And right there, they're putting who? Judah and Ephraim together. They're associating them together with what? With criminal, with crime, with terrorism. You got the so-called cartels putting up money to so-called, who knows if it's true, but hey, they're running with it. Supposedly putting out bounties for kidnapping ICE agents and to assassinate them. And now here comes Jake with their folly, chasing clout, putting up a pose like this, and Esau is now taking it as an excuse to fall upon you, man. Now you're gonna have Edomite ICE agents looking at this shit like, alright, fuck it. Whoever even makes a slight wrong move towards us in one of our operations, fuck it, we'll shoot them. And all we gotta do is, we felt threatened. Now with these cartels talking about, kidnapping us and assassinating us and rewarding people on the street for it, that's the perfect excuse, man. This is why the Lord warned us about all the evil that was gonna come upon our people, man. Because most of our people are out here thinking that it's a fucking game. That nothing's ever gonna happen, that everything's gonna just be sunshine and rainbows, and you're gonna be able to live your life without, experiencing any evil times, man. But you're far from the truth. The Lord said, what? I will search Jerusalem with candles and punish the men that are settled on their lease, that say the Lord will not do good, neither will he do evil. Why is she talking that loud? 2 Esdras 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And a perfect example of that, let's check this out, man, because I looked at the comments, and look at what people are saying. Salakia. In the comment boards. Look, that would be one huge can of ass whoop, Salakia. That would be a huge can of whoop ass that will come down on whoever tries something like this. Just saying. And this is a Edomite, pretty much defending his nation, or his military. And he posted, there are 21.8 million armed force veterans in the U.S. Let that sink in. Over 14 million of them can walk into combat tomorrow. Let that sink in. So, you have Edomites that are willing to kill whoever stands up against their armed forces, man. Another one. Well, this dude, he was like, found their actual channel. It looks like it's just a content template they use. Kind of reckless to post given the times. But I don't know if they're aware enough to realize that it comes off like an actual threat. That's right. You see Jake and their folly, man. What do they have here? It says, you can't say something that you can't finish. Iran, we on the way. You see, so they're just using it for clout, man. But that, it could cost you your fucking life, man. You might have a fucking Edomite redneck, that is like, what, fuck it, let's kill these motherfuckers. Through. And you have comments from both sides, man. Look at this. Pussy ass ICE agents wearing masks and kidnapping people of the streets without warrants or due process. Y'all should be the ones going to prison. Yeah, you see, so it's, people are, there's a lot of friction, man, coming from both sides, Yeah, some people, are laughing at, the government actually posting, a government agent posting something like this, agency, so like posting something like this. Let's see. Yeah, man, but you see, the opposition amongst, the people, and that's why the scriptures say that that the Lord will bring the Egyptians against the Egyptians, man. it's gonna be a whole lot of trouble, man. Like the elder apostle Tahar says, it's gonna get worse before it gets worse. Let's see what else. I had read another one. Yeah, man. I mean, ultimately, you get the point. You There's some people saying, they edited the video. Um, yeah, this place is through, man. You see? Through. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, through. All right, let's go back here. In the book of 2 Esdras 15 and 14, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands," which the modern day sword is what? The gun. "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." And this is what we're seeing being brewed up, man. We're seeing a scenario that people are being pushed against the corner, man. Stamps are being cut off, social programs, medical aid, education, businesses are being, cut off from funds, so they're gonna be forced to shut down, man. You have this government shutdown. They're forcing employees to work without pay. So they're building up a scenario of chaos, man. And ultimately, that bubble is gonna burst, and something is gonna happen. And at the same time, you have ICE. These ICE raids, and they're not just grabbing up criminals. They're going into people's homes, killing animals. Man, it's a shit show going on over here. So it's gonna get to a point where people are gonna be like, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna retaliate. And all of this is written in the scriptures, man. It's letting us, the Lord is letting us know, like, look, prepare for these times that are to come, because all hell is gonna be breaking loose. It says, "A man shall desire to go into the city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. Their houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." All of that wickedness, all that pride that these people had, is gonna come to naught, man. And the more proudful, the more evil and disobedient they were against Yahweh Shema Shai, the more evil that's gonna come upon them, man. That's what we always say, starting off with the apostles, man. These huge metropolitan cities, man, it's gonna be crazy over there, man. Because food is gonna run out faster. all the supplies, medical supplies, and it's just gonna be a shitload of people in the same, in a small area. So what do you think is gonna happen, man? It's gonna be lewdness happening, as it mentioned in the verses before. There's gonna be destruction. The sword. People shall stand up against one another, man, stealing, killing each other, to the point that all men are gonna be afraid. How much more women and children? It's gonna be crazy, man. But you don't want to listen. You don't want to take heed to the word of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. And this is pretty much where we're heading, man. We're already in the beginning steps of Jacob's trouble. And the things are gonna get worse. It's not gonna get better. We see Esau pushing that digital ID. They started off in England. I seen a post earlier today about I think the first state here in the U.S. is trying to promote that mandatory digital ID, man. So we're getting closer and closer to the times that the Lord warned us about. And if you don't take heed, you're gonna be taken in judgment. Real quick, we'll end it off in this. 2 Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, which is what? Prophecy. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So we see the Lord visiting his creation. And it's a matter of time for the rest of these to be fulfilled. Which is going to come with what? The sword, famine, destruction. That digital all. And ultimately that third world war, man, which is going to be that second death spoken of in the book of 2 Peter, man. Death through nuclear fire for those that